All right, hello, it's Silver Kyle, and today I am going to be reviewing Linwood Barclay's I Will Ruin You. Now, this is a 2024 mystery slash thriller novel, more so on the mystery side of things, that I picked up by happenstance, and I'm so happy that I did. So we're going to be going into a non-spoiler review where I'll be spoiling even less than what they have in the flap here. And then once I've given my final rating and my Goodreads rating, I'll go into a few other spoilers, but I'll make it very obvious when we get to that section. So what we have here is we follow the life of Richard Boyle, who is an English high school teacher. And on one of the days where he's teaching, he kind of looks out onto the lawn at school, and he sees a former student bolting it towards the school, and he has a bomb strapped to his chest. Richard jumps right into action and is able to prevent this bomber from killing anyone, from bombing the school, and he's hailed as a hero. The news gets hold of this. Obviously, they interview him. They kind of pan to the whole school, and they talk about how he saved everyone, yada, yada, yada. But what happens is that a blackmailer sees him on TV and decides that he needs money, and he's going to extort Richard for money for something that Richard has a tie to, something that is really shady and bad, but Richard was not part of. And now he's being blackmailed. And it slowly just makes his life miserable. There are so many layers to what's going on here that there are twists and turns, and on the surface level, you would have never expected more than half of what is slowly unraveled as we go throughout this mystery. And I really enjoyed that aspect. There's other players involved in here that have nothing to do with the story until much later on, and it was really well done. I thoroughly enjoyed this ride. And Richard, man, he was going through such a hard time. I picked this up at the airport, and as we were flying and I was reading it, my mother was right next to me, and she would see that every once in a while, the chapter, if it was Richard, we were following Richard, it would have his name. And if it wasn't Richard, if it was another character, you could follow a few different point of view characters, but it would just have nothing. So it was either Richard or somebody else, because Richard is the main character here. And she would always ask, how's Richard doing? And I would just, as I was explaining it to her, it really sounded just so horrible how things just got progressively like way worse for him as things went on. Really good stuff. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, but on Goodreads, I did give it 3 out of 5 stars because it was closer to the 3 than the 4, but I very much enjoy this. If you want like a mystery novel that has a lot of twists and turns and a blackmailer, definitely pick this one up. Now, I will just go into some minor spoilers for those of you that have read it or if you have no plans to read this. The layers of this. So the blackmailer, basically what happened is that there's the blackmailer and one of his buddies that are watching the TV. And when they pan across the TV, they see Richard and they see a bunch of other characters, one of them being the principal, that's kind of Richard's friend. And that principal is the one that diddled one of them. And so one of them says that, and then the other decides that I need money, so I'm going to blackmail Richard into giving me $10,000 because that drug dealer owes basically the people that he takes he basically, I think that they fly into an airport and he's able to get the drugs there and then give it to the drug dealers who are part of potentially the cartel. I think that it's ensued. I don't know if it's actually confirmed. But yeah, either way, these are two serious people, and they've been noticing that for the last few shipments that they've been short. So they think that this drug dealer has been like shorting them, and it hasn't been. It's been his wife all this time, and you're trying to figure out that about how it's possible that he's losing out on some of the shipments because he would have never done that. You slowly find out that it's the wife that's been stealing from some of this and selling it at the hospital because he never gave her any of the money that he made from these drug deals. It's just, there's so many layers to what's going on, and it all gets convoluted. At the end, the wife actually takes the money or takes the drugs, the drugs that she stashed, and runs. Or the money, I can't remember which one it is. She takes either the money or the drugs, and she bolts out of there, and she meets up with the friend of the drug dealer. The drug dealer ends up dying. Richard showed up at that point in time to look at what was going on. The sister of Richard's wife is a detective, and she's involved in all of this too, and she was looking into another murder from a fentanyl overdose from these drugs and saw like one of the two drugs. It's insane. There are so many different levels. It just really winds. around so much, and man, the connections here were really good, and that's why I like this book so much. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars. I definitely recommend. I mean, I've kind of spoiled it all, but I assume that all of you that are here have already read it. So thank you all for watching. You have been bearded in. Beardage.